Good day, everybody. Zack here with RevZilla, and welcome to another episode of Daily Rider, where we learn about motorcycles as we ride. Guest today is Harley-Davidson's Pan America 1250. So this is a motorcycle that 10 years ago, heck, even 5 years ago, you might be hard-pressed to believe it would ever even exist. And now it's made a big splash in the ADV pool. That being said, you might be wondering, how does it handle the daily ride? Well, I'm wondering too. So let's get to it. All right, everybody, here it is, Pan Am 1250. We'll start with the engine, as we often do. 1252cc liquid-cooled V-twin. Very modern, very, actually involves some technology that no other bikes have. Hydraulic valve lash adjusters. Did I even say that right? I'm not sure. The point is, you never have to adjust the valves, ever, which I think two-strokes and electric bikes, the only bikes that can claim that. Which is pretty cool. Anyway, we'll talk more about the engine when we're riding, obviously. Well, high-end componentry, nice stuff. Brembo calipers up front here, steel braided lines. This is the regulator rectifier, and actually the battery is right there as well. Some people asked in the pictures on Instagrams what the heck was going on down here, so that's what that is. This bike's got the cast wheels on it, but you can get cross-spoke tubeless wire spoke wheels. Add a little bit of weight, though. I think they add 14 pounds to the bike, if Spurgeon's article has stuck in my mind at all. Let's see, what else? Yeah, I mean, a Harley-Davidson designed to go down a dirt road. Like I said, not long ago, who'd have thunk it? Big old LED headlight here. This is the lean angle light. So when you lean this way, these lights over here illuminate and they cast beam out that way. If I forget to talk about it, it works pretty well. Yeah, I think that's just about it. We got basic structure here. Let's fire up this bad Melberg. Big old bright TFT, which is nice. There we go. Chithugga, 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 chithugga. I should mention, this is the 1250 Special, as it said in the link on YouTube that you clicked on. Spurgeon has more details in his article, which he wrote. I think the link is in the description of this video. But basically what that means is you get crash guards, you get the hand guards, you get a tire pressure monitoring system, you get this Öhlins steering damper, some other stuff too. Most notably electronic suspension that we'll talk more about because it's very kind of complex and interesting. And it starts at $20,000. Anyway, let's get to riding, shall we? I think it's time. Yes, sir. All right, we should cover some specs, as we often do in the beginning of a ride. As I said, MSRP starts at $20,000. Usually by the time you get one decked out, I think it was like $22,000, something like that, which is a lot of money, no question, but seems fair within the scope of the ADV world, I feel like. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. The 1252cc liquid-cooled V-twin in the Pan America here cranks out a claimed 150 horsepower and I believe 94 foot-pounds of torque, so it is a pretty burly mill, faux show. And the fuel tank holds 5.6 gallons of gasoline, and when it's full, oh gosh, I forgot the weight. Oh man, it was 586 for the one we had last year that had the spoke wheels. This bike, 570 something. I'm putting it on the screen. Yeah, you know, it's a full-size adventure bike. This is the way of the gun these days. The bikes are big and fast. What else? Oh yeah, seat height. It is adjustable. I believe in the low position it comes in at 32.75 inches, if memory serves. And yeah, it feels fairly low. We'll talk a little bit more about the self-lowering suspension and stuff like that a little bit later, but in general, surprisingly approachable for how big some of the other numbers are. Like I said, horsepower and weight and stuff like that. So I have the seat in the low position, at least I think I do. And it's very comfortable, as is tradition in the adventure class these days as well. Big wide handlebar way out in front, feels nice and commanding. The seat's cushy, my feet are right under my thighs kind of. It's just a great place to sit, I gotta say. All right, we're gonna merge with traffic here. And just like that, we're on the open road. I actually got a lot of questions on Instagram about whether or not this is a good sport touring bike, which I thought was a little surprising. I guess just, I would have thought that even though it's a relatively new bike in the motorcycling universe, it would have built a reputation by now being a pretty good adventure bike, and adventure bikes are typically pretty good at sport touring. More to the point, yes, it's very good at this kind of thing. I'm going to put the windshield up, which works with kind of a cool little trigger system where you pull a little trigger and twist a little thingamajig. I like to go one notch from all the way up because then it tips the screen forward a little bit and provides a little bit better wind protection for me. But in general, really good. Like the adjustable windscreen system pretty well. And even at 6'2", I find the wind protection is surprisingly good for a stock bike. A lot of times it's just not great for someone my size, but the Pan Am is pretty darn good. And as for the other aspects of the bike, for sport touring that is, it's just fantastic. The engine is nice and smooth. You can see we're going 70 miles an hour, just over 4,000 RPM. It's just purring along. No undue pressure on any points of my body. The seat is really, really good. And yeah, you can get stuff like heated grips, which I can do. Oops, I just changed the ride mode. That's my bad. Not time to do ride modes yet, Zach. Here it is. Heated grips over here. There we go. And you can see the temperature is 64 degrees. So you might be wondering why I'm turning on the heated grips. I don't know, because I'm spoiled. One thing I will say about the heated grips, any heated grips are great heated grips, don't get me wrong. But it's like I said, mid 60s here, and I turned the heated grips on to full blast, and they're not super strong. I think level 3 on heated grips on a 60-something degree day should absolutely, you should have to turn them down. You should be like, no way, man, I can't do that. You should just cook your hands, because if you're riding when it's 35 or 40, you're going to want a lot of heat. But you know, like I said, yeah, no sense in biting the hand that feeds you when it comes to keeping your hands warm. The Pan America does have cruise control, which I believe is up here. There we go, turn it on, and set, pull down to set. There we go. Yeah, we're cruising. Pretty good system. Yeah, not bad. The only complaint I have is that not a lot of tactile feel in the buttons. So like I'm pulling back on the speed, or the speed toggle to drop some miles per hour. And normally with motorcycle switches, as you know, it's nice to get like a little click or something when you know, like when you push on a blinker switch or something like that, so that you can feel that you've done the thing you're trying to do. And they're a little rubbery, the switches. And so sort of like the heated grips. Like I wish they got hotter, but I'm thankful that it's there at all. Same thing with the cruise control. The buttons aren't great, but I'm glad there's cruise control. Always. As for fuel mileage, you guys, I forgot that one also. I'm so sorry. I've had a heck of a week. Not making excuses, but there's stuff falling out of my brain, and I can't remember. Someone put that on screen too. Ba-ding! Anywho, I'll tell you that these mirrors are great. I like them. They get a touch buzzy at certain RPMs, but in general, they're just great. I like the structure. I like the shape. They're usually very smooth. They're in a good spot. Very good. Gold star to Harley-Davidson for the mirrors. All right, trundling in the neighborhood here. I'm going to put the windscreen down, and we're going to get ready for our stop sign challenge here. Crack the knuckles, loosen up the wrists here. There we go. It shouldn't be too bad, I don't think, on the Pan Am. It's just very well balanced at low speed, in my opinion. And big tall handlebar makes you feel like you're in command. Clutch feel isn't my favorite, but oh yeah, that was a good one. Man, it takes a long time for the dash to register 0 miles an hour too, huh? Ugh, that's nerve-wracking. So yeah, anyway, I don't find the clutch feel to be super intuitive, but you get used to it, which is the case with most bikes that are well built anyway. You, even if it feels odd at first, usually come around because it's consistent at least. So yeah, that's something that the Pan Am's got going for it. It's just a very light flywheel, so it can be kind of easy to stall the bike. Oof, I mean, that was a clean footless stop though. Could be that fairly low seat height, so there's relatively low center of gravity even for a V-twin. I don't know, just spitballing. Turn on my blinker. Oh wait, the blinkers are a little strange. So it's not typical Harley cruiser to like touring bikes. You know, they have you tap here for right blinker, you tap here for left blinker, and then you tap it again to shut it off, unless it auto canceled, and then you turn it back on again. Whatever. My whole thing with Harley blinkers doesn't matter. This blinker switch is a little strange because you turn left. If I hit left again, it shuts off. If I'm turning left and I want to, like on the freeway, go to the right, if I hit right, it shuts off. And then of course if I tap in the middle, as I'm about to do, it shuts off. So there are 3 different ways to cancel it and only one way to turn it on. I don't know, it's not bad, it's just different. I find myself screwing it up sometimes. Again, kind of thing you probably get used to. Anyway, to go back to that traffic light, you might have noticed the hill hold assist was on when I left. Eagle-eyed viewers will see a little H on the dash there as we go past Corvette guy's house. Corvette guy probably approves of the all-American ADV, I would hope anyway. So one of the updates for 2022 was to make the hill hold assist function last longer, I believe. It auto, maybe when the bike was off or something like that. We got a footless stop. We did it, everybody. The hill hold assist would cancel after 15 or 30 seconds or something like that, and now it goes up to 2 minutes or something. So it's a little software thing. I think they made an update for 2022. And I suppose while we're on the subject, I could say that the blue paint is a 2022 update, as is an option for a quick shifter, which is pretty cool. This bike does not have the optional quick shifter, but the fact that it's an option is pretty neat. And I've seen it in action, actually. Watched someone else, Kyle Wyman specifically, ride a Pan America around a race track with a quick shifter, and he said the quick shifter is pretty good. So yeah, you know, it's coming from Kyle Wyman, so there you have it. And the last update for 2022 was to the dash. Harley went out of its way to create a, don't hit me, a slightly easier to read font, I believe. And it was like made the font a little bigger on the dash, which was smart because initially it was really, really tiny. It's still a lot of information and it's still kind of small, but it's a step in the right direction. And I think they did that based on feedback they got from people. And I appreciate that. But hey, we're on Lover's Lane here. When we're on Lover's Lane, we got to talk about passenger accommodation. And the Pan Am is pretty good. It's a pretty wide seat back there. It's a sort of in the middle of the bell curve as far as ADV bikes, I would say. I didn't find anything about it that was truly outstanding or different. And no egregious errors either. I think a passenger would find themselves pretty comfy on a Pan Am, which is good because it's made for those long distance trips, as we know. All right, we get into the twisty section of road here on the Pan Am. Not breaking any records today, but my report will be short, which is that it's like a typical ADV bike. Frankly, it's nice, easy to ride, smooth, transitions well. Yeah, it's just a nice, balanced way to go through a twisty section of road. Very pleasant, probably faster and more capable than people think or realize. So, yeah, if you're worried for some reason that it won't be sporty enough for your sport tour, I would be surprised if that were the case. Let me just say that. Well, we're stuck in traffic here on the twisty road. I'll use some of this time to try to describe as succinctly as I can the electronic suspension on the Pan America. It's a Showa setup with semi-active electronic control, which means it can change the damping schedules in the fork and in the shock, to make the bike feel stiffer and or softer depending on the situation and the ride mode that you're in. But the really nifty trick that it has up its sleeve is that it has these bladders in the fork tubes, for example, and as the bike rides along and creates pressure in the damping system for the oil, the bladders fill up and they pressurize the spring and they add preload. And then when you come to a stop, you can set the bike, if you like, to release all the pressure in those bladders and reduce all the spring preload that has been built up as the bike rides along. And that means practically the bike will lower as it comes to a stop. You can set it to do it automatically, so as you roll to a stop and lose speed, it will compress itself and squat down, or you can set a short delay or a long delay. So we'll experiment with that in a few minutes here when we jump into some stoplights. I have a ride mode all set up with a long delay, so that means we'll pull up to the stoplight, we'll sit there for a second, and then the bike will go psh, which is really, really nifty. It basically allows this bike to have more ground clearance as you ride along any road, but especially also rough or rocky road or something like that. But if you have shorter legs or just for the sake of control for a person of any size, doesn't really matter, as you come to a stop, the bike will sort of shed some of the preload that has been requested of the springs, and it lowers itself. Very, very cool technology, and not something that anyone else in the ADV space or anywhere else in motorcycling, as far as I know, or as far as I remember, has figured out. So big tip of the cap to Harley-Davidson, and we will play with that system in just a minute here. All right, just so I don't forget, I'm going to flick it into custom mode A. We're in A mode now, as you can see here. The custom mode A is available to toggle on or off, and you can change all the settings in there if you like to do with the throttle map and suspension settings. There's also rain, road, sport, an off-road mode, and then an off-road custom mode if you so choose. So lots of options for ride modes on the Pan Am as well, which is neat. Customizable ones too. That's crucial. I really like the customizable ride mode. I feel like that's a good piece of customer service for motorcycle companies to provide. All right, here we go. We're going to pull up to the stop here. As we get to the stop, my foot's on the ground. See the bend in my knee change? It's from the bike squatting down. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, I gotta say. So the reason I tried to be explicit about the bladders in the suspension there is because I think people have a misconception that the ride height can be changed in either direction while you're stopped. And because those bladders charge up based on pressure in the suspension system as you ride, it means that if you come to a stop and the bike squats down, you can't just press a button and have it raise back up. As you can do with some other systems that are arguably a little bit less advanced, but they do offer preload to be spun into the shock or fork. Oh, jeez Louise, that was a freaking tortoise shell of a bump there. Good thing we're on an adventure bike. Glad I'm not on a sport bike. Anyway, you can't just press a button and have the bike raise up, which is a piece of clarity that I think is important. Right, red light. You're gonna be able to talk about the dash? Oh, bike just squatted down. God, that's cool. So, yeah, I guess we can try and talk about the dash really quick here. There are a lot of buttons, as you can probably see. This all has to do with music, playback, and volume, and oh, there's the TC button there, which we'll get to. Over here is where you have most of your controls. A little home button that brings you back to your main screen here whenever you so please, and then green light, gotta go. Gonna have to talk about the dash later. The engine's pretty spicy. It's pretty fun. feels European, I think, is the best way that I can describe it. And I'm not trying to be, I'm not asking you to read between the lines. I'm not being facetious. I'm just saying that it feels modern and lively in a way that doesn't usually define engines in classic Harley-Davidsons. But as this thing takes a little squats down for me at the traffic light, it is not a classic Harley-Davidson. It's a huge departure, and it's just a kind of a tour de force in engineering, from the engine to the suspension to the way that it works as a machine. And that's an important thing to remember, I suppose. If you have a Sportster or a I don't know, a Softail or something, and you're like, oh cool, I'll get a Pan Am, it'll feel just like that, except taller. That's not really the vibe I don't think that Harley-Davidson was going for, nor the vibe that it achieved. All right, we got a yellow light, and now it's red, as is tradition. So we can talk about the dashboard, perhaps. What do you think? Yeah, why not? So yeah, home button brings you back to the home, as you might guess. This little toggle over here brings you this menu where you can toggle through bike status, settings, navigation, your connection to your phone. Sorry that we're not covering that today. It's just not gonna happen. And yeah, under ride customization, you can go into ride modes, and you can see here, you can select, you can have some of these modes off if you want to. Which, yeah, you can customize these modes, or you can turn them off so they don't even show up on the dash, which I think is kind of neat. And then, yeah, I mean, as far as what's on the home screen here, there is a ton of information. It's good to have it all here. You have to get used to where to find stuff, just because there are a lot of numbers displayed up there. But they have sort of a little faux analog tack goes around the top there. Fuel gauge in the bottom right, which is red, means I need to get some gas. But yeah, all the sort of data that you want up there is there for sure. Speed nice and big, RPM easy enough to read, and then a little just above the gear position indicator, there's that little bar that is now showing a temperature of 66 degrees, which if and when you would like to, you can toggle through and show different data with this button here. You can see my range, my trips, and odometer. So yeah, comprehensive dash. Big, bold colors. Modern in all the ways that you'd want it to be, I think. There's a choo-choo train going down right next to our off-road route. We're gonna have to, it's gonna be an exciting adventure today. All right, the train has gone away. We'll give it a little bit of a gap so we don't catch up to it. All right, ready to go in off-road mode with TC off. Wrap. Yes. Yeah. Pan Am's good at this stuff. Likes it. Smash it into stuff. Jump it. Bump it. Do it. Catch up to trains. Yeah, absolutely. It is it's a great adventure bike, basically start to finish. We're gonna hit a jump. Didn't bottom out. Excellent. And I think I'm gonna cut to the front of the line here, and we'll get a little run at this spot. The train did us some favors, kids. All right. And we'll see if 94 foot-pounds of torque and 150 horsepower is enough to do a wheelie. What do you think? Whoop. Oh, because we're in friggin' off-road mode, so I don't have 150 horsepower. All right. There we go, in A mode now. There we go. Big wheelie. Big old Pan America wheelie. You could ride that wheelie from sea to shining sea if you were a better rider than I am. All right, we're gonna go back to off-road mode, where I believe rear ABS is off. Let's find out. Can you back it in? Whoop. Not quite. Okay, fair enough. Did I shut it off in off-road custom? Off-road plus, maybe? We'll give it we'll give it one more shot. Yep. Can't do it here. Head on with a semi. So we'll have to try it in the parking lot. I'm gonna tell the landlord. No, it still has rear ABS on. Pretty sure you can shut that off, and I'm pretty sure you can back it in, but not in these modes anyway. All right, kids, time for a U-turn challenge. I'm gonna go to road mode. Where is it? There we go. Road mode. Changing modes on the fly. We've got 2 parking spaces. What do we think, kids? What do we think? We're gonna be able to do it? And close to this transit here, and then full lock. No feet down, no feet down. Full lock, no feet down. No. Couldn't quite do it. No. So it'd be 2.3, 2.4 parking spaces maybe. Not bad though. I practically, for what it's worth, have found the steering sweep to be quite good. Good for U-turns, even off-road. Yeah, I do appreciate that. Okie doke. There we go. Kickstand down. We'll listen to the revs a little bit here. Pretty quiet, huh? Pretty quiet. But it sounds good, I think. Big V-twins often do. All right, I'm gonna put it up on the center stand now. There we go. There we go. There we go. Pan America Daily Rider. Pretty good daily rider, don't you think? Is that what you got from that? That's what I got from that. Fun bike. Good engine. Good chassis. Easy to ride. Good options. What doesn't it do? I even think it looks cool. For what it's worth. It doesn't matter. I'm not telling you that you think it looks good. But I think it looks different and aggressive, and I even like the blue paint. I'd probably do it in the orange. I don't know. Just like, I like the Harley orange, kind of. But I do think that blue paint's cool. All right, jump right into Instagram questions. Schroeder Cycle, I like it, says, which HD model would you most like to transplant that engine into? Right. Good question. Yeah. Good question. I don't know, like a road glide or a street glide maybe, or I guess even like a Softail, like a lowrider maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think a touring bike, like I think any, like a big top box, like Ultra Limited or Road Glide Limited or whatever the top box ones are, like if you had this engine in it, man, that thing would boogie. It would probably be great, because those bikes are good as they are, frankly. I mean, and they're fun, they rumble along. It's not like they're down on power, but I mean, it'd probably be pretty fun to have a big touring bike like that would just be rip-roaring fast when you spun it up. But you know, that's my sensibility. I would not, to be clear, put this engine in like a classic Sportster, old generation sports, air-cooled Sportster, like 883 Iron or Sportster 1200. Sorry, what's it called? The 48 now. They don't use the Sportster thing because now the Sportster's got this engine in it. You know what I'm saying, though. I like those bikes. I like the 48 Special and the Iron 883. I think those bikes need to have that kind of like classic air-cooled Harley shake and sound, in my opinion. So I wouldn't do it there, but maybe the big touring bikes. I don't know. Next question is from Lowly Fe Billy, who asks, how good is the adaptive ride height really? Does it feel weird coming to a stop or accelerating away? So we experimented with that a little bit. I showed you how it kind of goes psh, and like sinks down, and it's pretty cool. No, it doesn't feel weird. It feels weird when you set it to that long delay where you come to a stop and then it does its thing. But if you put it in the auto setting, you really don't even notice it. And it's pretty slick, in my opinion. I don't think it's awkward. I don't think it's, I mean, yeah, you could argue it's gimmicky, but it's functional. It works. And I think that Harley should be applauded for it. If you're worried about ADV bikes being too big for you, take a look at this bike for that reason. And I think that's worth reiterating. So, yeah. Next question is from Kim Cruz, who asks, does this American bike hold a candle to the big bore ADV bikes out of Germany, Austria, and Italy? Yes. It does hold a candle. I don't think that it's better. I'm not going to sit here and say this is the new standard and oh my God, everyone has to have one of these things. No, there's still some stuff, but it does. It's in there. It's in the fight, and that, considering the head start that every other company in the world has had, and this is Harley's basically their first effort. It's pretty darn good. Last question. Is from Chef Moyardi. Moyardi? I like it. Chef Moyardi asks, in CTXP, you and Ari chose the GFs over the Pan America for its refinement. What does Harley need other than 40 years to be as good or better? Good question. So the CTXP episode, of course, was a BMW versus Harley thing, which if you haven't seen, you can check out, where we talk about Harley building an ADV bike and BMW building a cruiser. The stuff, a lot of it is just like little stuff. I think at its core, the bike is pretty good. Like, you can jump it. It doesn't bottom out. The engine is fast. The range is pretty good. The wind protection is good. The features are good. So we noticed that the seat kind of like, in its adjustable position, it kind of wiggles back and forth, which, like, I didn't notice it when I'm riding. It's not a big deal. I'd much rather have a comfortable seat that wiggles around a little bit, but it's like a little fit and finish thing. Or like when you turn the handlebars all the way, see how it hits this piece hits the adjuster for the windscreen, and if you put the windscreen in a slightly different position, then it hits the windscreen. That kind of thing is maybe a little weird. Or so the center stand, is down, and I want to put the kickstand up, but I can't put the kickstand up. And if the center stand were up and the kickstand were up, I wouldn't be able to put the kickstand down. I don't know. It's like little stuff like that where you're kind of like, and the tactile feel on the buttons we talked about. So it's little stuff like that's where decades and decades of building bikes like this comes into play. And it's just not quite as polished. And I don't think that that's a bad thing, because none of those things that I pointed out are a huge problem, really. It's just little stuff that you notice, and that's what we noticed in CTXP, and that's what we were talking about. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, then heck, buy a Pan Am, because I guess it's just as good. That's it for Instagram questions. Thank you so much, as always, for all your intelligent, thoughtful, beautiful questions that you asked. Let's put this sucker on the Daily Rider leaderboard, huh? I think it's going to finish pretty good here, huh? Considering the review so far. Okay, here we go. All right, everybody, here we are in RevZilla West Daily Rider leaderboard behind me. And then there's also this here. It's the police bike. Next episode of CTXP, hint for you there. What are we up to? I don't know. But there's a police bike here, so I'm saying. Daily Rider leaderboard, we've got the Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250 Special ready to go up there on the board. It does get a little $sign, as you can see. Rule of thumb on Daily Rider is that any bike over $20,000 basically gets a $sign. But as far as the pricing goes, it's in the noise with a BMW 1250 GS or something, which maybe you think that's overpriced too, but that's the going rate for a big old advanced adventure bike these days. So let's see here. Well, we can cut to the chase. So what do you think, HD Pan America 1250 or Triumph Tiger Sport 660? Great Daily Rider, really good. I love that it's compact. I love how simple it is. It's charismatic. It handles well. It's really all the things that you want a bike to be. So what do you think? Better than a Pan America? No, I don't think so. If they're sitting next to each other in the garage, there are some people I would recommend this bike to first, because it's less money, that's for sure. It's also smaller, and like I said, it's compact and other things as well. But if they're sitting next to each other in the garage, I'm taking the Pan Am. I like all the whiz bangs, the features. I like the power. I like the size of it. I like the comfort. So that's where the Pan America is going right now. As it pertains to a Multistrada V4 S and an R1250 GS, this is the Archive Daily Rider leaderboard. I don't know. I think if it's on this board over here, I think it's going third. I'm not ready to pick a Pan Am over a Multistrada V4 or a R1250 GS yet. But man,
It's a really good bike. As we talked about, there are a few little things that keep it from feeling like I don't know, the king of the mountain, I guess. But I think it's really fun to ride and kind of hit the nail on the head as far as what an adventure bike needs to be in the modern era. Not to mention including some stuff that other bikes just don't have. And to be clear, the Ducati Multistrada V4 and BMW R1250 GS do also, in my opinion, include things that other bikes do not have, such as radar, such as nifty suspension, if you're talking about the BMW. So the fact that the Pan America is in with a shout is pretty darned cool, in my opinion. And I don't know what else I have to say about it. I think that's quite a good spot for the bike to be on the board. And we had quite a lot of fun on this ride, I think. I hope you agree. Thanks, as usual, for hanging out. I hope that you learned a thing or two about the Pan Am. I hope you had as much fun as I did. And if not, it was close. And I very much hope to see you next time on Daily Rider. See you, everybody.
I will raise my hand and say that sometimes I probably go through this on-ramp, off-ramp exchange a little too fast. However, 10 miles an hour is not fast enough. Let's flip and go, people.